Is very important to us. So in Nova Scotia, there's 16 different kinds of ticks. 2 of them are the ones that frequently bite people and dogs, and that's the dog ticks and the black-legged ticks, also known as the deer ticks. So I did include a picture of those in case some people aren't familiar with what these 2 different types of ticks look like. These are the ones that really put out the Lyme and other co-infections to us. But as you know, things are warming up and other ticks are coming up to Canada, to Nova Scotia. They're crossbreeding and they're finding new diseases all the time. So one picture that I didn't include, I don't know if you can see this, but this here is a mother tick. And when she lays eggs, thousands and thousands of eggs is what you end up with. So it's not just a mama having a couple babies and carrying on with her day. She's laying thousands of these creatures out there.
How frequently do they lay?
At least once a year. It depends on the different ticks too. They're different, so there's constant. Just a month or so ago, you could walk in the woods and see tick nests quite a few places. Yeah, they just look like, I don't, but it looks like little black eggs up and down like a vine or something. Yeah, it looks like caviar almost. They're tiny, and you'll just see a pile of them on the forest floor or in the ferns or something like that. You'll definitely be like, what the heck is that? Because you haven't seen something like that. So ticks can carry many other diseases as well. I put a list of some of them here: the anaplasmosis, babesia, Bartonella, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Powassan virus. And Powassan virus can be transmitted in as little as 15 minutes. So you really have to be careful. I know in the news there's a lot of 24 to 36 hour attachment, and that's just bull. Because if a tick is feeding on a house that's infected with Lyme, yeah, it's already in its saliva. So if it falls off of that house and latches onto you, it can be instant transmission. So you really have to be aware and educate yourself. They talk about the bullseye rash a lot in the news, and a bullseye rash doesn't have to look like a bullseye. A bullseye rash can be anything that looks like a spider bite or bigger. There's a bunch of different diagrams of rashes here, and I'm sorry for the small pictures, but as I went to Plan B for this whole PowerPoint presentation thing. Okay. So again, just holler at me if you... We also talked about Bartonella. Bartonella looks like this on people, the rash. It's just like stretch marks. Just looks like stretch marks.
I think I'm lousy with it.
Then another thing that they're finding, and somebody that my husband works with, his boy was in Keji like a few weeks ago and actually got bit by a tick and ended up with Rocky Mountain spotted fever.
Ooh, wow.
And it's a big rash that looks like hives all over your body. Wow. And it's, you know, it's definitely here. See that, Sam?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the next picture we have there, the Lone Star tick is now in Nova Scotia too. And the Lone Star tick, I put a picture of that in all of these. Has the little yellowy white spot on its back, and it actually will bite you and give you an anaphylactic meat allergy. So it's, you know, then you'll be allergic to pork and red meat and stuff like that. So it's more common, but unless you're treated, yeah.
The damn things are vegans.
Yeah. I think if you started to eat the meat, you would get a rash or hives, and you would start to get a funny feeling in your mouth, like an allergic reaction. Yeah. So what is Lyme disease? It's a serious bacterial infection transmitted by the bite of an infected tick with the bacterium Borrelia burgdorferi. And Lyme disease is the most common tick-borne disease in Canada.
It's also the most poorly diagnosed disease in Canada, or at least in Nova Scotia.
All through Canada, it's not recognized.
Yeah.
So that's why we got to fight, but we'll get into that a little bit.
Nova Scotia.
No, they give you...
Any doctor. It doesn't exist.
No, there's an ELISA test, but you have to have 2 positive ELISA tests in Nova Scotia for them to carry on to the Western blot test. However, all of the testing throughout everywhere, and the CDC actually just released this at the end of June, all testing is only like up to 45% accurate, because the bacteria has to lay in your system for a certain period of time for the antibodies to build up to even detect that you have Lyme disease in your body. So it's very important, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, that if you get bit by a tick, you should get some antibiotics into you right away, because you don't know, and the testing, even if it comes back negative, doesn't mean anything. And I have some pamphlets here and some flyers, and one of them is on if you get bit by a tick, and it talks about what you can do and what you should ask for your doctor. And also, if you have a tick and you want to send it for testing, there's a paper here too for Vet Lloyd at Mount Allison University in New Brunswick, where you can send it off, and she actually is doing a lot of testing for Lyme disease and co-infections right now.
She was one of the first in New Brunswick to get bit by a tick,
yes.
And it took her 4 years before she could convince doctors to even do the damn test.
Yes, and she's really focused. She's an amazing woman. She was part of the federal framework on Lyme disease that just went through and stuff.
Absolutely refused to do the test on her.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I've gone into doctors many times, and they throw their hands up in the air, and that's why a lot of us will spend lots of money to get tested in the States at different labs and things like that, because the testing is just flawed. So Lyme disease is the fastest growing vector-borne insect transmitted illness in the world. It's found worldwide, everywhere except Antarctica. So there's a map on the Government of Nova Scotia page, and it shows endemic areas in Nova Scotia, and it talks about Yarmouth, Pictou, Lunenburg, Queens, Halifax, and Shelburne. Yeah, but the serious thing is that Lyme disease is everywhere in Nova Scotia. Don't let that map fool you, because Lyme ticks get transmitted by birds and mammals all the time, and they fall off wherever they want. They don't just say, oh, I'm in Pictou, I'm getting off now, and you know, it doesn't happen. Yeah. Yeah, so you don't have to be in an endemic area to be bitten by a tick. All of Nova Scotia should be considered endemic. So I got a few more pictures here. I don't know if you guys can see these well, but this is a bird, and it's covered in ticks all over its head. And that's the thing, like, birds are carrying ticks all the time, and they're falling off, and you don't need to. I don't know if you guys can see back there.